Hello, students of Suleiman Demirel University. Welcome to part 3 of the series of videos on how to write a research paper. I am Leila Francisco, your instructor in these videos. Let's go ahead and start. So our learning objectives for this video is to discuss student examples of definition and argumentative papers. We're going to review some common academic language, and I also will give you some last tips at the end of the video, concluding the series of the research paper videos. Okay. Again, before we get into our main part, let's review what is the structure of writing process. Number one, we read and understand the writing prompt. Whenever we get the assignment from our professor, we have to proofread it several times and really understand what kind of writing is it. Is it a definition writing? Is it a compare and contrast writing? Is it a argumentative paper? Is it going to be a survey paper or analytical paper, or maybe a different type of research? Step 2, you're going to do pre-writing. There are different pre-writing techniques, and one of the most common one is creating a brainstorming. You just take a piece of paper, write down your ideas, write down main points of what you want to cover in the paper. They can be scattered throughout the paper. Those are just your free writing notes, phrases, short sentences. And then later on, in step 3, those notes will help you create an outline. Outline is a structure, a skeleton of your paper. It is always the same. Okay, you can modify it depending on the size of your work. After creating an outline, step 4 is to write a first draft. Step 5, proofread and make some editing. Step 6, you may do the peer review. Peer, that means you give it to your friends, to another students to read your paper. You can give it to, I don't know, your teachers, your professors, if they would agree to do so. And finally, you publish and turn in your paper. So I want to emphasize again that steps 4, 5, and 6 will repeat several times as you finish your first draft, and then second draft, third draft. Usually it would be at least 2 drafts before you decide publishing your paper, and you would be satisfied with a final result. So as I mentioned many times, outline of your paper is a a set structure of the paragraphs that you have to create. So normally when you do the outline, you start with introduction. Next, you do body paragraphs. You write several body paragraphs, at least 2 or 3 is a desirable amount. And then after your body paragraphs, you create conclusion. Abstract is normally appears at the beginning of research paper, and reference page appears after your conclusion. You list all the quotes that you used in the paper. Okay, now I'm gonna switch my screen to an example of definition writing. Let me move my face up to here. So first I will cover an example of definition paper. Keep in mind that the formatting might be not up to par, and maybe not the way it's supposed to look according to like APA style or Chicago style. It doesn't matter. The point is just reviewing with you again what type of sentences are in our final product. So in this example, we are defining a hero, or we're discussing the definition of heroism. Here is the introduction paragraph. Let's go ahead and read it quickly. It was shared in Brody Ashton's novel Everneath that heroes are made by the paths they choose, not the powers they are graced with. The line between hero and not hero have always been thin. What defines a hero easily varies person to person, although the foundation can be agreed upon. To some, it may be someone legendary, while others might think of a hero as someone of great strength or ability, an illustrious soldier or warrior, or maybe someone admired for his or her achievements and great qualities. By exploring how the term hero functions in the real world, defining examples of various heroes people are familiar with, and exploring what a hero is not, can show that many groups of people value similar qualities when defining a hero, which supports that hero can be anyone as long as they are helping others with good intent. So our introduction consists of 3 parts here. The first highlight is a short hook. And remember, when we do the definition, we do not have to provide any personal opinion. Instead, you may start with an interesting fact about heroism, or a quote, which is an example here. We have a quote by Brody Ashton from his novel. The next blue highlight is some background information about heroism, how different people understand it differently. They put a different meaning into the heroes in different examples that can be legendary heroes, or everyday person like a soldier or a warrior. The red highlight defines the definition thesis. So as you can see, the definition thesis would emphasize the importance of the heroism, and that heroes can be anyone as long as they are helping others. So that would be the function of a hero that is discussed in the thesis here. I'm not going to read all of the paragraphs provided here. In front of you, you see the 2 body paragraphs. You may pause the video and read them more thoroughly. We may see some quotes in the body paragraphs, or paraphrase of examples, which is also a quote, but it's not direct, it's indirect. I want to mention that yellow highlights at the beginning of each paragraph would connect us back to the thesis. And those are our topic sentences or claims, topic sentences. Okay, in the real world, a hero takes many forms. A hero is usually a person that helps other person in a immeasurable way. So this is one topic sentence or sentences. In this topic sentence, the writer discusses a Superman as an iconic hero. So throughout the paragraph, we can see that the comic is being mentioned, the personal qualities of Superman, of being strong, courageous, ethical, and so on. We have a third body paragraph, and again, the same structure. We go from the topic sentences in yellow, direct and indirect quotations here in the middle of the body paragraph, and the conclusive sentences are reasoning sentences that explain the quote, that explain the evidence. And finally, in orange, we have a conclusion of our paper. Remember, in conclusion, we summarize our introduction. We connect all of our ideas from the body paragraphs. Okay, so again, if you would like to read it thoroughly, you may pause the video and take a look at the language, take a look at the sentence frames. Okay, this is another essay, and keep in mind this is targeted mostly for the middle school and high school students. By no means this is the type of writing you want to see in the college level. It has to be longer, more complex, but this is just for example purposes, right? So in our argumentative writing here, we argue about the role of uniforms in education. So basically, let's start reading. A half a century ago, President Dwight Eisenhower observed, when you put on a uniform, there's certainly a certain inhibition you accept. I'm sorry about this noise. Eisenhower served 40 years as an army officer, and he should know more than enough about uniform. Okay, sorry, I had to pause to close the window. Uniform in public school help to end discrimination and bullying, while also better preparing students for life after school. Okay, highlighted this twice. So remember, introduction in argumentative essay or paper would also have the same structure. We start with a hook. In this case, the hook is a little bit shorter, but it still includes an interesting fact or a quote or some of the background information about uniforms this time, right? We have a quote by Dwight Eisenhower. In red, we have an argumentative thesis. Argumentative thesis expresses a point of view, a clear point of view. So our author claims that uniforms should be provided in public schools, right? So he is a pro-uniform person. He wants to see the uniforms in all of the public schools because they may help with discrimination and bullying and prepare people for adult life. I'm going to scroll down so you can take a look at the structure of the body paragraph. Again, pause the video if necessary, and you may read it in detail. The claim, the most significant aspect of school uniforms is that they allow everyone to appear equal, which decreases the bullying and discrimination that occurs in school. So take a look at these two sentences in red and yellow. Our thesis is in red, and our first claim in yellow. They are very similar, so of course they connect. In the paragraph about stopping discrimination and bullying, the author cites some indirect quotes and direct quotation appear as well. Right here. King, 1998, states that children have been violently injured or even murdered from their designer clothes, sneakers, or professional sport team paraphernalia. We indicate the page number, right? So after the quote, he explains how uniforms would be helpful in that situation when somebody is being bullied. Okay, so in green right here, on the other hand, many parents and children argue against uniforms because they want to allow freedom of expression through dress. Children especially dislike the strict rules that are associated with properly wearing their school uniforms. Okay, so going back to the idea of argumentative writing, we discussed the contradictory issue, right? Do you like uniforms? Yes or no, you do not like the uniforms. And you have to address both point of views. So that is why I have highlighted this paragraph in a different color, in green, to show a different point of view, and that author shortly mentions a counterclaim. So that would be a counterclaim opening sentence in this paragraph. And then his quote referring to the counterclaim, the opposite opinion that he does not necessarily agree with, but it has to be mentioned. And then he goes back in the next paragraph to still discussing the importance of uniform and how it prepares students for their adult life. So I would again highlight it in yellow. That is his claim number 2 or number 3. I think there at least seem to be like 4 body paragraphs. And then again, we have a conclusion here. It is annotated in orange highlight. All right, so moving back from these examples, I now want to introduce some of the academic language that is very common when you write research papers. So for example, for definition essay, academic language, you may use similar sentence frames or these kind of sentence frames. Did you know that blank is defined as blank? For thesis statement, you may use this kind of sentence frame. The topic of blank is important because blank, and then you describe and introduce some kind of related facts. Claim evidence and reasoning sentences also have some optional sentence frames that you can use in your writing. What I would recommend with these sentence frames is to pause the video. You may have an option of writing down these sentence frames somewhere in your notebook or create a poster. That what we normally do in the school setting, and even memorize some of that language that is commonly used. For example, for evidence and elaboration sentences, we like to use the language that starts with according to the article. In the blanks, you give a name of the article and use quotation marks. In addition, according to, from this we can tell, I would say this is actually reasoning sentences as well. From this evidence we can learn, we can clearly see, and then you simply fill out your blanks. Okay, so let's take a look at argumentative essay, academic language. And again, I go paragraph by paragraph, providing different types of sentence frames that would be helpful for your hooks or background information. For argumentative thesis, we would have a longer, more complex sentence frame. You need to mention your opinion. You need to mention importance of a certain topic. And it can go like this: blank should, blank because, right? Don't forget, you have to be specific why you are sticking towards a particular point of view. These are some examples, sentence frames for claims. For evidence and reasoning sentences. And again, you may pause the video. You will notice that evidence and elaboration sentences are quite similar for any type of writing. So you don't have to copy them again. All right, let's move on to the next slide. No, we did have a next slide. A lot of technical issues recording this today. I do apologize for that. Okay, so actually this concludes my videos. I do want to keep my face on. So it's more kind of interactive for the students. Anyway, let me make my conclusion now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope these videos were helpful to you. If you have any questions, you may send them to my email, practiceenglishforfree@gmail.com. So we have completed the series of videos on how to write research paper. You may rewatch part 1, part 2, part 3. They have a lot of information, a lot of examples. Keep in mind, whenever I provide some examples, they only serve as a reference, and they should not be treated as something that is only correct way of doing that writing piece, right? Those are just very helpful strategies and models that you should know and try to learn by heart, and then adjust them into your own personal writing style. So remember, if you want to become a very good writer, the best advice that my professors gave me when I was doing my master's degree is to practice as much as you can. That is the best way to learn. You just have to practice writing different papers. And advice that I would give to myself right now, as a student, as a teacher, if you want to be proficient in writing, you need to try and teach somebody else, okay? So you may practice discussing these videos, check if you have understood certain parts better than other of your classmates, and discuss, try to teach, try to practice writing. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye.